Mario Kart is choosing what I read. On my Patreon, I have a really fun readathon that has just started, and it is a Mario Kart themed readathon. The first one, we are picking our characters, our vehicles, and special items to be used in future rounds. Certain things can be doubled up and others cannot, so I think my plan is to try to read 4 books for this. That will get me all of the items I need so that I can attack other people later. So for the characters, you can technically pick as many as you want and switch them for different rounds. There's not anything specific that comes with the characters. So then for the vehicle, there's the standard car option and the bike option, and you get to pick one of the two, and there's an advantage for either one. So if you pick one, you get to log books and read for an extra 30 minutes, and if you pick the other, you get an extra 5 pages for each time you log, and you'll be logging every 100 pages. So for the first round, it is prompt based, and the rest of the rounds are page count based. And then there are 4 items. There's the banana peel, a red shell, a green shell, and a mushroom. So for banana peel, you have to read something with yellow on the cover, green shell, something green on the cover, red shell, red on the cover, and mushroom, white on the cover. So there are 4 items to collect. You can only use one per round, but you can collect all 4 and switch throughout them. So my plan is to read 4 books to fit all of these 4 items, and then I'll pick if I want the cart or the bike as long as I have completed a book over 350 pages and a book under 350 pages, and then any of the characters that I get from these books will be the ones I can choose from in the future. So the first round is a week long to be able to pick everything. If you are interested in joining, it is available for you to go back and collect everything that you want. And then our races will be happening, and they'll be either 24 or 48 hour readathons. So for a book with yellow on the cover, I'm going to be reading Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. For a book with red on the cover, I'm reading Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. A book with green on the cover, I have The Woodkin by Alexander James. And then a book with white on the cover, I have Granite Harbor by Peter Nichols. So Granite Harbor by Peter Nichols is an arc, and Celadon very kindly sent me a copy, and it sounded really good. So I'm doing a buddy read of this with my friend Michelle. I have not read from this author before. I haven't heard of this man, but it is set in a small coastal town in Maine that is shaken to its core by a serial killer. So it is set in Granite Harbor, Maine, and it is a very quiet area until a local teen is found brutally murdered in the settlement, which is the town's historic archaeological site. And we are following this one guy who is a failed author, now the town's only detective. It's his first murder case. He also has a daughter who is around the age of the teenager that was found dead. And then we are also following Isabel, who is a single mom, and her son was also the same age as the boy that was found dead. So they're trying to figure out the serial killer. I'm currently 96 pages in. I just got to part 2. And generally, I am liking this. There has been some chapters that are just backstory of the characters, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the most boring thing. I don't think I really like it when books are set in one timeline, and then we are just getting flashbacks of like whole chapters of information. Like, it's too much at once. I don't care, because I just want to get back to the story. I'm just like, please shut up. I don't care about all of this. I just want that information kind of sprinkled in as we go, I guess. So I didn't like that. And then we're also getting some other perspectives. Like, there's this like random lady that works at the settlement, and I'm like, why are you here? But the story itself is very interesting. The way that this murder happens, like the details behind it are interesting, and like it makes it seem like there could be multiple different things going on. And then we are also getting the perspective of the person that we are assuming is the one that did it, kind of like stalking people, which is very interesting. I think we get that pretty early on, and then we get other ones like watching other people that are currently alive. So the very first chapter is of this killer's perspective watching, and then we see that one of the boys ends up murdered, and then we are seeing his perspective like creeping on other people. So that's kind of ominous, and I'm really liking that. I just don't understand why we needed to get this one perspective. Like, I just want to be following Alex and Isabel in the current timeline. There were some moments that I feel like the buildup was more exciting than the actual thing that happened. There's something that the children did, and then the parents found out and like freaked out, and then you find out what it is, and you're like, I mean, yeah, but that's not what I expected at all. So I do have some issues with this. Like, I don't think it's perfect, but I am really liking my time with it. This book is truly just so forgettable for me. I got to part 3 last night, and I already am like, what happened? Like, it's fine, but I'm generally bored. I don't have the complaints with like the extremely long backstories at this point because they got it all over with in the first part, but I just don't really care about what's going on. And I have also switched to the audiobook, and I don't like the narrator. He sounds so weird for the main character and like makes him sound like this like really old dude, and it's a weird time. I wish I had more to say. I truly don't really care about anything that's happening, but when I'm reading it, like, it's fine to get through. So honestly, probably gonna be like 2.5 stars, which is like a mostly boring book but has a little bit of stuff that I'm interested in. There is some like frog stuff in here that I'm like, well, I guess that's interesting, but other than that, I don't know. It feels very basic. It feels very boring. I don't really care about anything. As soon as I put it down, I don't care. I immediately forget things, which is not the case in other books that I read. And it did take me a long time to get back into reading this. I started it longer ago than I'd like to admit, but I am going to finish it today. That is my goal. I don't know if I care what happens, but I'm still going to finish it just because why not, I guess. I have finished Granite Harbor, and I think this is one of the most forgettable books that I have read. I almost immediately after finishing it was like, wait, I can't remember anything. So this one is going to get 2 stars for me. While I was reading it, I thought it was fine. There were certain parts that were good, other parts that I was just like, I truly do not care at all about. It's just, I don't know what it is, but I never felt connected to anything in this book. I generally found it really boring. I think that there were some elements that had potential, but the way that it was done is just not a favorite for me. I don't know. I wish I had more to say. I truly don't. I'm just like, what do I talk about this book in this vlog? I am very grateful to Celadon for sending me a copy of this. I will be putting it in a little free library because it's an ARC and like I don't need to keep it. I was talking to Michelle and she said that a lot of people like talked about how gory and like gross this book was, and I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Like there were some moments that were more gory, I guess, but I don't know. There was nothing that impacted me. I wish I had better things to say about this. I don't think it was bad. It's just not a book that I cared about at all. I didn't like some of the writing choices, which was like my main complaint early on, and I never got invested after that. And like with all the reveals, I truly did not care about any of them. I was like, this is what we're doing with this? I don't know. So 2 stars, but I do now have the mushroom that I can use against people for our first race. That one was white on the cover to collect that. And this one was under 300 pages, so I can use this to get the bike and have an extra 30 minutes, but I think I'm going to use a different book that's over 350 pages and get the cart so I can get an extra 5 pages per 100. So, you know, I read this book. That's all I have to say about it. I don't remember what characters this could get me, but I think I'm just gonna go through a list at the end and see which ones I've collected, and then I'll just pick one to use after that. But not off to a great start, but I am glad that I read this. If you like more like detective kind of stories, this one might work for you, but just not my favorite. Hello, welcome to my car, my library. These are prescription sunglasses. I forgot my regular glasses. Anyway, I wanted to update you because I have been listening to Listen for the Lie. I forgot to check, but I think I'm 38% into it, and I'm really having a good time with it. Also, filming in public, there's somebody sitting in that car right there. They could definitely see me. Anyway, I'm at the library. I had to go to the post office. I picked up a couple different books, and then I got Wonderland that I'm going to be reading in this video, which I actually started the audiobook of this last night, and I'm like 3 chapters in. So Listen for the Lie. We are following 2 different people. One, our main character, Lucy, and she was accused of murdering her friend. They lived in a small town in Texas, and Lucy got married to this like really popular guy, and her and Savvy were friends. Savvy was like the very popular person in town, the social butterfly, and if you believe the rumors, especially popular with the men in town. And then Lucy and Savvy are seen fighting, and then the next day Savvy is dead and Lucy is found with blood all over her, and there's apparently like marks that match Lucy's hands and her fingernails on Savvy. But Lucy has no memory of this, so she was never accused because there wasn't enough evidence, I guess. And then there's this podcast guy, Ben. The podcast is Listen for the Lie, and he's investigating Savvy's murder. And she decides to kind of start working with him because he claims he doesn't believe that it was her. So far I'm really enjoying it. I have found myself getting the same feeling with this that I used to get whenever I did listen to true crime podcasts. I don't anymore. I have decided that personally I don't really love most podcasts that deal with true crime. This old man is just walking in circles. He's coming back. Anyway, so it's giving me that like very fun and invested feeling that I got whenever I would listen to true crime stuff. I'm like very entertained by the podcast, even though the podcast isn't like the main part, like it's mostly following Lucy, and I really like her, and I think it's funny. Like I've laughed out loud at certain parts in this, which doesn't happen super often. There's just like a lot of sarcasm in here, which I enjoy. It's been so popular recently, and I can definitely see why. Like I just feel very invested and I want to get back into the story. I'm gonna drive home and listen for the Lie. Recently I've been working really hard on my sleep schedule so that instead of sleeping from 2 a.m. till 10 a.m. I'm sleeping from 12 to 8 a.m. And I've been pretty good at it until last night. I accidentally stayed up till 1 in the morning listening to the audiobook of Listen for the Lie. I am now on chapter 34, which is 222 pages in, and this is just so compelling. The audiobook is incredible. So we're getting Lucy's perspective, and then we're also getting Ben's perspective from his podcast. And this is obviously his research and his interviews with people, and we are learning stuff in that we don't know from Lucy, which is interesting. So it's nice because we're not getting like repeated information, and then we get to see her react to learning things about this case, and it's like her whole life is revolved around this situation, and she doesn't know what has happened, and she is invested in finding it out. That's the reason why she's talking to Ben for the podcast. Like she wants to know what happened to her friend, and it's just like so readable to me. I had to force myself to stop reading because I'm like, I want to finish it. But I was like, go to bed. I can read more in the morning. So I'm super excited to see how this wraps up. I think that this one has been really great. I've been so invested in it, and it's one that I like forget that I'm reading a book almost. This is one that I could have easily read in one sitting, but I have to like stop myself so I can check in. Oh, it's so fun. It is so fun. Does this author have any books out? Young adult books. Okay. It's her adult debut, so I absolutely will be reading her next book, and I'm not even done with this one. It's just really fun. It is interesting. I think that the characters have layers to them, which makes me want to know what else we're going to learn about these characters, and obviously the situation as a whole. I'm just so invested in everything. I'm having a truly great time, and I cannot wait to finish it. I will be finishing it later today, which I'm so excited about. So I'm going to go play Animal Crossing and finish listening to this audiobook. I'm so happy. I have finished Listen for the Lie, and I'm gonna give this one 5 stars. I had such a fun time with it. I was so invested the entire time. I didn't want to put this down. I always wanted to get back into the story. I don't think that it's like the most groundbreaking thing or any sort of like, I don't know, super original plot or anything like that, but just something about it. I needed to be in this story the whole time. The end was a little bit predictable for me. I'm not surprised by anything that happened, but I don't know what it was. It just really, really, really worked for me. The ends of thrillers are so hard to talk about because I don't want to spoil anything, and by the time I'm in the last third, like, what am I supposed to say? That's how I was feeling about Granite Harbor too. Like, I had nothing to tell you because I couldn't talk about anything. Anyway, but if you have not read this, I would really recommend the audiobook. The physical copy, you can definitely still see the podcast in it, but it's just done really well in the book with the audio. I liked the characters in here. I think that they were all very flawed, which led to just an interesting book. I absolutely will be reading more from Amy Tintera. So glad this went well. And now I have the red shell item. So the mushroom that I got with Granite Harbor is to take 5 pages away from the person directly in front of you. So that will work with like the position you're in with your submissions. And then for the red shell, you get to take 5 pages away from a specific person of your choosing. That one is the most evil one. And it is like you are targeting somebody with that one, which I think is hilarious and a lot of fun. So I'm really glad that I got this one. The green shell prompt is you take 5 pages away from a random person. And then the banana peel is you take 5 pages away from the person directly behind you. I think that's going to be really fun during the 24 hours to like be on, it's so fun to be on edge. But to like know that people could be sabotaging you. And I don't know, I feel like it's going to be very, very motivating. So I'm going to get back to reading. I'm not sure if I'm going to read Wonderland or The Woodkin next. So earlier I said that I was going to be reading The Woodkin for the book with the green on the cover, but then the summer ween prompts were announced, and I don't have many books that are set in the summer, and this one is. So I was like, well, I'll just pick a different book. So I decided to go with Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Buxley. I don't know, I said that, Buxton. This is a like sci-fi post-apocalyptic story, but we're following a crow. ST, short for shit turd, just so you're aware. Hello.
You're recording?
Yeah. Guess what? This book is from the perspective of a crow. Guess what its name is?
Corrosive.
That's funny. No. Its name is Shit Turd. I got 8 pages in and I'm quitting.
You got 8 pages in and you're quitting?
Yeah.
Is that what you're making the video about?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to read a story about shit turd?
Well, I knew that, but I don't like the writing.
8 pages in and you quit?
Yeah.
Don't you gotta give it at least like a chapter?
That's 2 chapters.
Oh, then yeah, I quit too.
Oh, that's funny. Oh gosh. Yeah, well, this I don't like how it's written. It's too quirky. It's not a book for me. So yeah, I made it 8 pages in. I am going to unhaul this. I can take out my Readathon bookmark. This is not my team, but that's the first one that I grabbed. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, because apparently recently I've been reading all of my green books, and the other ones that I have are for Summerween now. So that's a struggle for me. I'm gonna figure out what I'm doing. I'm still gonna be reading Wonderland, but I wanted to show you this thing that I got. So the Broken Binding has released a sci-fi box, and their first books are the 3 books that Andy Weir has out. So I already have The Martian in my possession. The Martian is one of my favorite books, as well as Project Hail Mary. They are both just like my favorite books. They're both just incredible. I love them both. Here's the thing. Artemis is an embarrassment. I think it is poorly written. I did not care about the plot at all. The characterization of the female main character, terrible. But you can't skip any of these books. So I now own a special edition of Artemis. But it's incredible. Also, I don't know what it is, but this like paper, like how does that even work? Anyway, there's lots of it. I'll keep this for my Pango orders. They do overpack, but here's the thing. Whenever I got The Martian, it ended up sitting outside, like, in a rainstorm, to the point where the box literally just like peeled apart. It was so wet. So I am very thankful that it came in all of this, because my book was not destroyed, and it was The Martian, so like if it was messed up, I would have died. I'm so excited to see this because I know it looks incredible. And like, if the book is gonna be not the best, at least if I'm paying for oh my god, if I'm paying for this, I want it to look like this. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, are you kidding me? It's signed. This is just, I am a purple fan. I love this. Oh my god. Incredible. So these are the two together. The spines. So I just needed to share that with you because I am truly obsessed. Like, they look so good. So I needed that. I like don't even care that I didn't like the book at all. Actually, I DNF'd it, but yeah, moving on from shit turd, we're gonna find another book with green on the cover. I think I'm gonna look on my Libro FM list and I'll figure it out. I'll talk to you once I'm a little bit into something, but really I don't know what I'm doing at the moment. So I finally picked a book for green on the cover, and honestly this is a little bit of a stretch because to me it looks kind of blue, but I really wanted to read this one and I think it's a mix of blue and green, so who cares? So I'm reading One of Our Own by Lucinda Berry. This is an audio original. It's not like specific to a place, like I'm reading it from Libro FM, but I think you can get access to it in other audiobook streaming places. And this audiobook is like 4 hours long and I'm 45% in. This is my third Lucinda Berry of the year, and like, why is it so good? Her books just like deal with a lot of like super interesting topics. So in this one we are following, I think her name's Felicia, and she is a lawyer and also volunteers once a month at the local suicide hotline. And at the very beginning she receives a call from a teenager who is local to her, and she is struggling because she was sexually assaulted at a party and there was video taken of her, and her life, she feels, has been ruined. Like, obviously she went through this very, very traumatic situation, and then for it also to have been recorded and sent around the school is like terrible. The thing is that, I almost said Lucinda. Nope, that's the author. Felicia has a son who happens to go to the same school and happened to be at the party where this situation took place. And she is starting to think that her son might have been involved in some way. So she is dealing with the like need to help this young girl and also wanting to protect her son, but also like not wanting to just like sweep things like this under the rug. So it's a very like difficult subject matter, which is how Appetite for Innocence was as well. I know Appetite for Innocence was indie published. I'm not really sure how this one is, but the other one that I read earlier this year was not nearly as dark. So I need to look into that, but like, I'm really enjoying this so far. I can see this ending up being 5 stars. Like, it is just so good. So I'm gonna finish it. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. I have finished One of Our Own. This book, I can't say what I want to say without spoiling things, but this book just makes me feel very strong emotions. Like, I'm stressed. I'm so stressed. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it 5 stars. I need to continue reading more from Lucinda Berry, especially her like more non-traditionally published stuff. I just, I wish I could talk to you because I have so many thoughts and feelings about this book, but every single one of them is a spoiler. I will say that I once again think that this book was handled very well. I think that everything that I've read from Lucinda Berry has been very respectful, because everything deals with like very dark and like tough topics, but I've never once been like, oh, I wish she would have handled this differently. So props to her, because I feel like that has to be so difficult to do when you're writing about subject matter like this. Like the idea of thinking that your child has been involved in any sort of horrific crime, like, and just like the implications that people put on you and your parenting, and the ideas of nature versus nurture, and just like the world that children live in today. Like growing up is so different with social media, and I'm so stressed. But I seriously enjoyed this so much. Absolutely 5 stars. This book was a lot to process, but it's really, really good, and I would highly recommend it. So now I have my green shell. Very excited about that. And I have one more book so that I can get my banana. I am going to be starting Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. My book is over there. Once I'm probably 100-ish pages in, I will check in with you. Hello, I am now 15 chapters into Wonderland. So I'm on page 136. This one feels very different from the couple Jennifer Hillier books that I have read. I think at this point I've read Little Secrets, Things We Do in the Dark, Jar of Hearts, I guess just those 3. And this one is less domestic than the other ones. So there's still some of that in here, because we are learning about our main character, who is a police officer, and her like life stuff that has led her to live in this town. But we're also just getting a lot of other stuff that isn't specifically focused on her family. So her name is Vanessa, and she has just moved to this town where the thing that runs the whole town is the local amusement park, Wonderland. There are a couple different situations going on. So at the very beginning, we see this character climb at the top of this Ferris wheel, and he takes a picture and posts it online, but then he goes missing. And also, there is a decomposing body that is found in the park that same morning, but it's not the guy from the beginning. And then very early on, we find out about this other kid that has gone missing. It's her first day on the job, and the father calls in and was like yelling because he expected to get the old police chief. So she finds out about that. Nobody really wants her here. It was expected to go to like an in-house hire, and she was not that. So she has moved to this town to get away from all these issues, and has moved to other issues. It's interesting to see like the town dynamics where this amusement park like runs everything. It's top priority for the police. Like anything that they need has to happen. And we are following a couple different characters. We are following, I already forgot her name, Vanessa's daughter. And then we're also like watching an interview between the CEO of Wonderland and like a new hire and some other higher up on the like Wonderland staff. So I'm liking it and I'm interested, but I feel like I need a little bit more going on. I don't know. It definitely feels like a detective story at this point, but like a little bit removed from that. I don't know how to explain it. I am liking it, but I have never been like truly obsessed with a Jennifer Hillier book. I find that her endings are incredible, but I'm never invested enough leading up to them to give her books 5 stars, even though I overall enjoy them. I am interested to see what happens, because this is a fairly long book. Like, it's 416 pages, so there has to be more stuff going on than like what we are seeing right now. And I'm interested in figuring out all of that. It's raining, so if you can hear that, that's the rain. Anyway, I'm 275 pages into Wonderland, and I am liking it, but I'm not invested. I feel like this is a pattern for Jennifer Hillier books. I'm pretty interested in the first third, and then the second third, I'm like, I don't know, like, kind of bored. I don't really care about what's going on anymore. And then the last third just, like, blows me away. So, really, No thoughts, head empty at the moment. In theory, everything is interesting. We have been introduced to some of the darker stuff, and I feel like it's too obvious at this point. Like, I feel like the solution that the police are working towards is not going to be it, because why would it be that? But then there's another thing that it could be, and I feel like that's also too obvious. So I am looking forward to seeing how this all wraps up, but I absolutely don't think this needs to be this long. I think that this could be 225 pages, and we could like get rid of 75 to like 90 pages of this. I don't think it needs to be this long, but like, it's not bad. It's interesting enough. When I'm reading it, I am having a good time, but I also don't care that much at the same time. That being said, I think this could be 4 stars if the end is incredible, which is what I have rated all of her books. You're in the way. Can you come over here? I have finished Wonderland, and I think I'm going to give this one, I don't know, 3.5 stars. I generally enjoyed it while I was reading, but I don't know, it just didn't go there like a lot of her other books. I think that I had too high of expectations. Like, I had a good time while reading this, but it didn't feel any different from like just like a standard thriller. There's always things happening. It moves pretty quickly, but nothing was really stand out to me. The way that it wrapped up was fine. I truly have like no thoughts about that, but I think everything like came together well. I don't know. This one is a tough one for me, but I think I'm gonna go with 3.5 stars. So I have my list of all of the options. So the vehicle I will start with, I could either get the bike or the cart, and I'm gonna go with the cart to get a bonus 5 pages. Every 100 pages I log, and that was to read a book over 350 pages. So I have Wonderland. This one was like 415. It did not need to be that long. And then I did get all of the items. I got the banana peel with Wonderland for yellow on the cover, Listen for the Lie for a red shell with red on the cover, the green shell for green on the cover with One of Our Own, and the mushroom for white on the cover with Granite Harbor. And those are all things that will impact future rounds. If you are interested in joining and you want to participate, there are a couple things you can do. You can either count anything you have read since the first round officially started on April 8th to collect your items, because everyone else has had since then. You can also pick a book to read before the first race that gets you the cart and the item you want, because you only can use one item at a time anyway. Or if you're watching this like a week in advance, you could take the whole week to read 4 books to get the 4 items. It's completely up to you. We're very flexible. And then all of the characters, Mario is to read a book with a face on the cover, so I did do that with Wonderland. Luigi is to read a book with family dynamics. One of Our Own definitely counts for that. Peach was to read a book new to your TBR. I feel like all the books I read actually work for that. Yoshi, read a book from a subscription service or from the library if you don't pay for anything. I did get Listen for the Lie from Book of the Month. I did not read a book picked with a random number generator to get Bowser. I did read 2 books from my shelves to get Donkey Kong. A book a friend gave 5 stars. One of Our Own works for that. Koopa Troopa, a book with multiple POVs. Wonderland works. Daisy, a book you didn't buy, also works. Shy Guy, read an audiobook. I read all of them at least partially with audio. I didn't get Wario because I didn't pick a book with an emoji poll. I did not get Waluigi because I didn't read a book with a 3-word title. And Tanuki Mario, I did read a book with multiple covers. Wonderland has like a sunset looking one, so I got that. Our first race is coming up on Sunday, July 14th. It will be midnight to midnight in Eastern time zone so that it is fair for everybody, but that will work out because obviously we all have times that we won't be able to read during that. I think it's gonna be so fun. I think the first race we're gonna do is Shy Guy Beach. A summary one feels right, and that's a fun one. If you'd like to join, all of the details for my Patreon are linked in the description. Obviously, it is not feasible for everybody to join, and that is totally understandable. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on these books anyway. I can't believe I got 2 5-star reads in this video. Incredible. If you've made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave me a carnival themed emoji for Wonderland. I will see you soon. Bye.